For a long time, Brandon Podziemski went unnoticed, ignored in the draft, underestimated by analysts, and treated as just another name among hundreds of young players trying to achieve the dream of playing in the NBA. But what he did recently, on one of the most emblematic nights of the season, was a shout, a snap for those who hadn't noticed yet. And perhaps more important than what he did was what that meant. At the Staples Center, or, for those who prefer nostalgia, the legendary stage of the Lakers, he didn't just rain down three-pointers, he made history. The final shot from mid-court with the clock ticking down was more than a point. It was a message, a direct warning to the league, and, most importantly, a reminder to the Warriors that the future might be closer than they imagined. It's easy to be enchanted by flashy plays, but real impact comes from context. And Podziemski's context is dense. It's filled with overcoming, intelligence, and above all, a basketball IQ that goes far beyond what you'd expect from someone so young. If you still don't understand why this kid could be the link that keeps the Warriors' flame alive when the Curry era comes to an end, maybe it's time to take a closer look, because what we saw against the Lakers might just be the first chapter of something much bigger. And as the Warriors' history teaches us, great moments are always born when few are paying attention. To understand where we are, we need to remember where we came from. In 2018, the Warriors faced the Rockets in a series that, for many, seemed like the end of the line. Down 3-2, the dominant narrative was one of cycle closure. Many believed James Harden had cracked the dynasty's code. It felt like the party was over. But while the media noise pointed to the end, those who truly understood the game were focused on something more subtle. There was a firmness, a competitive instinct that didn't translate into numbers. It was the DNA of a champion, the kind of thing you can't teach, you just recognize. And it was this very instinct that exploded in Games 6 and 7. While the Rockets sank into an absurd streak of 27 missed three-pointers, the Warriors regained their composure with clinical precision. They showed who they truly were. It wasn't the end. It was a reminder. Time passed. The pieces changed, but the essence remained. And this essence, the same one that believed in Andrew Wiggins when no one else saw value in him, is now manifesting again. In another face. In another name. In Brandon Podziemski. Wiggins in 2020 was an easy target. Criticized, discarded, and seen as a failed gamble. But in 2022, the story was rewritten. He became vital to the title run, dominated defensively, played with grit and vigor, showed that well-polished talent can flourish even when few believe. This pattern is revealing. The Warriors see beyond the surface. And that's what makes Podziemski's rise so significant. He didn't arrive surrounded by spotlight. He came from Santa Clara, a school with no NBA tradition. But on the court, his presence is impossible to ignore. On that night against the Lakers, he didn't just hit 8 three-pointers. He set the pace, made intelligent decisions, played like a veteran. And the final shot? That was art, cold-blooded. And most importantly, it was the embodiment of an athlete who isn't just ready for the moment. He's shaping the moment himself. And it's not just about scoring. Podziemski reads the game with a frightening naturalness, positions himself like a much more experienced player, fights for rebounds like his life depends on it, and still has the ability to distribute passes with a precision reminiscent of the great point guards in history. At 22 years old, he carries a maturity that few possess. That comes from studying, from someone who understood that, to fit into the Warriors system, talent alone isn't enough. You need intelligence, you need commitment, and he delivers. We're not just talking about a promising rookie, we're talking about a symbol of transition. A player who could be the link between what the Warriors were and what they can still become. For a long time, the idea of two timelines that the franchise insisted on defending was doubted. Many said it wasn't possible to compete with veterans while developing young talent. But here's the reality. Podziemski is the embodiment of that concept. He is the bridge, the personification of the idea many ridiculed. And now, with performances like the one against the Lakers, he's proving that the front office's vision can indeed work. And if numbers speak louder to you, here's a stat. He's the second youngest player in Warriors history to hit 7 three-pointers in a single game. The only one to do it younger? Stephen Curry, back in 2010. This is more than a statistical coincidence. It's a symbolic alignment. It's the past meeting the present. It's the future announcing itself. And the most impressive thing is his rate of evolution. In his rookie year, he was already leading the NBA in drawn offensive fouls, a clear indication of effort, defensive awareness, and courage. Now he's already a consolidated offensive threat, a player who decides games. This rapid development isn't by chance. It's the result of a system that knows how to identify, nurture, and maximize talent, even when that talent doesn't come from the most hyped colleges, even when it's underestimated by almost everyone. What we saw against the Lakers was more than just an isolated spectacle. It was a snapshot of a process, a clear demonstration of how quiet work bears fruit, and how the Warriors, even surrounded by doubt, remain capable of revealing unexpected protagonists. And it is at this point of tension between the present and the future that Brandon Podziemski becomes more than just an exciting promise. He becomes a sort of emotional and tactical thermometer within the organization, because what's at stake is not just one season or a bold trade, it's the dilemma of whether to trust the already polished talent of a Durant, who has historically delivered championships alongside Curry and Green, or to bet on the patient construction of a new cycle, where names like Podziemski are the foundation. And let's make something clear. The Warriors are not new to this kind of dilemma. On several occasions over the past decade, the franchise had to make decisions that went against the tide of public opinion. In 2012, when they let go of Monta Ellis to make room for a then-fragile Stephen Curry, many called the decision crazy. Today, that move is seen as the beginning of one of the greatest dynasties in modern league history. The difference now is that time is working against them. Curry no longer has the same physical volume as before, and he doesn't need to. But his excellence requires a roster around him that can keep up the pace, space the floor, and understand the details of Steve Kerr's system. And that's where Durant and Podziemski's paths cross symbolically. One represents the urgency to win now. The other is the symbol of patience and long-term vision. What's curious is that Brandon, despite his youth, seems to play as if he understands this moment exactly. Every decision on the court, every pass made under pressure, every defensive choice shows someone who is not just trying to establish himself. He is trying to deeply integrate into a system that, when executed well, is practically unstoppable. He is not there to survive. He is there to belong. And more than that, to lead one day. Against the Lakers, his performance was a microcosm of this understanding. That half-court shot at the end of the fourth quarter wasn't a desperate attempt. It was a calculated gesture, with the same naturalness as someone who has practiced that kind of play thousands of times. He knew the timing. He knew the space. He knew the weight of that moment. And when it went in, the sound of the opposing crowd turned into silence. The kind of silence only the greats create. Now, the Warriors' executives find themselves at a crossroads. On one side, a promising future with a blossoming foundation. Kuminga finally gaining consistency, Moody maturing, and Podziemski showing a basketball IQ that challenges his age. On the other, the possibility of reliving the glory days with Durant, even if that costs these pieces. The chance to give Curry one final push toward a fifth title, something that would further solidify his legacy as one of the greatest of all time. And then a deeper question arises. What do the Warriors value most? The patient construction of something new, or the final attempt to reach the top once again with what remains of the old empire? It's easy to say the answer should be the future. But in the NBA, decisions aren't always made based on cold logic. They involve emotion, history, memory, loyalty. And perhaps that's why seeing Podziemski flourish at the exact moment Durant starts circulating in trade rumors is no coincidence. Maybe the NBA universe is offering the organization a mirror, a reminder that while one cycle closes, another may be opening right before our eyes, and that both don't need to cancel each other out, but rather understand each other. Of course, there's still the emotional factor. Durant's return would bring not only offensive talent, but also a gigantic emotional weight. It's impossible to forget the backstage tensions, the public disputes, the bitter departure after the 2019 finals. For this return to be viable, it needs to come with mutual maturity from both sides. And that's not impossible. KD has shown more than once, even recently, that he holds affection and respect for the Warriors. And he knows that, in terms of structure, there is no better place to maximize his efficiency than alongside Curry and Draymond. But the question remains, at what cost? If the trade package demanded includes Brandon Podziemski, we're talking about something that can't be recovered afterward. Unlike future draft picks, Podziemski has already shown what he's capable of. He has already proven with a relevant sample that he can perform at a high level even in the most intense games, and that makes the decision even more delicate. Imagine looking back 3 years from now and seeing Podziemski as an all-star, leading a new Warriors era in another franchise. That is the real weight of this possible trade. It's not just about talent. It's about identity, legacy, and a deep understanding of what makes the Warriors a unique franchise. Because if there's one thing this organization has always known how to do, it's look beyond basic statistics and see potential where others only see raw numbers. It was like that with Curry, doubted by many because of his fragile ankles. It was like that with Draymond, chosen at the end of the second round. It was like that with Wiggins, rehabilitated from failure to champion. And now, it seems to be the same with Podziemski. So, maybe the right question isn't whether Durant is worth the sacrifice of Podziemski, but rather, are the Warriors still that franchise that believes in the invisible? The one that bets on the journey, not just the destination? And if the answer is yes, then maybe the hardest decision of all is to do nothing. Let Durant go down another path and allow the new cycle to breathe, mature, and flourish, even if that means not lifting another trophy right now. Because sometimes the greatest legacy a dynasty can leave isn't just the number of titles won, but the courage to know when it's time to pass the torch. And Brandon Podziemski seems ready to receive it. And for all of this to really fit, past, present, and future, it is crucial to understand that the Warriors' story has never been just about talent. It has always been about fit, about chemistry, about trust in a system, in a philosophy, in an identity, and, most importantly, about knowing the right moment to act. The potential trade for Kevin Durant, with Brandon Podziemski as one of the key assets, cannot be analyzed simply as a matter of better player for promising player. The balance here is much more complex, because there is something that few are talking about, but that weighs heavily behind the scenes: the timing of the silent rebuild that has already begun. Since the end of the 2022 championship, the Warriors have been slowly weaving a new fabric within the roster. Jonathan Kuminga, after much inconsistency, has finally taken the leap that was expected. Moses Moody, even though still inconsistent, has become more reliable. Guy Santos has been growing and showing that he can be a useful role player. And Brandon Podziemski, unexpectedly even for the most optimistic, has not only adapted, he has imposed himself. He understands the game in a cerebral way. He doesn't rush. He executes. He doesn't look like a rookie. He looks like someone who has studied this system for years. And maybe the secret lies there. He is not a raw talent. He is a talent that absorbs, that understands the importance of details. This became evident in his posture during the critical moments of recent games. He didn't hide. He wasn't intimidated. He made important decisions with the calmness of a veteran. With Durant, as much as he is a generational talent, there is no more room for growth. You know what you're going to get. He's elite. But he also comes with physical risks, with the demands of stardom, with the need to adapt to a roster that already has well-established dynamics. KD would return as a star, not as a supporting player, and this is exactly where the equation becomes even more delicate. Because the Warriors, if they wish to take advantage of what remains of Stephen Curry at a high level, cannot afford to waste time adjusting hierarchies. Durant would require a type of adaptation that could cost victories, especially in an increasingly competitive West, where timing is everything. Podziemski, on the other hand, doesn't require that. He molds himself, and molding oneself to the Warriors system is a rare, valuable asset. An asset that, unlike those who shine purely through talent, values the collective above all. In this context, Giving him up for Durant would be almost like trading essence for a reflection of the past. And there's another important point here. Draymond Green, the veteran, still essential defensively, is the link between generations. He was the one who welcomed Podziemski the most, guiding the rookie both on and off the court. The chemistry between them is visible. The defensive communication, the quick reads, the off-ball movement, everything flows better with Green guiding and Podziemski listening. If KD returned, the balance of this ecosystem would inevitably be affected. Remember that the history between Durant and Green, despite public reconciliations, has cracks. And it's not hard to imagine these cracks resurfacing under pressure when emotions run high. And when we talk about smart rebuilding, the main pillar is exactly that. Not just developing talent, but creating a culture of continuity, something that goes beyond the highlights, something that can't be measured just in statistics. It's looking at Podziemski and seeing a new pillar there, someone who can lead a new cycle, who, over time, can lead a locker room, be a voice, keep alive the culture that made the Warriors a dynasty. This type of player, when they appear, cannot be neglected, because they represent something much rarer than a star. They represent the future with identity. And if the franchise already knows this, the best move now might be the hardest. Resisting temptation. Saying no to immediate shine. Believing that, just like they did with Curry back then, just like they did with Clay, with Draymond, it's better to bet on someone who understands what it means to wear the Warriors jersey than on someone who just comes to shine in it. Podziemski may not be the most media-friendly name in the NBA today, but if the franchise's future is guided by players with his mentality, his tactical understanding, and his dedication, then the Warriors will be on the right path to a new golden era, one that doesn't need to copy the past, but instead build something entirely new based on everything they've learned. And who knows? When we look back, this moment, this exact dilemma between Durant and Podziemski, will be remembered not as the end of a dynasty, but as the beginning of another one. For Sotto, the journey to the NBA is underway, and every step he takes reflects a path built on persistence, discipline, and a forward-thinking vision. What he has been demonstrating in the B-League is not just raw talent being refined over time, but a real commitment to becoming a complete athlete. And this commitment is beginning to be recognized by one of the most watched franchises in the NBA, the Golden State Warriors. Kai's return to the court was more than just a simple reappearance in a game. It was a statement. Against Kyoto, he didn't just play, he dominated. With 20 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists, Kai showed that he is one step ahead, evolving technically, physically, and most importantly, mentally. Every move, every play executed with precision revealed not just a talented athlete, but someone who understands the game on a deeper level. The paint became his comfort zone, a territory where he commanded respect, not just for his physical presence, but for the intelligence with which he positioned himself, moved, and distributed the ball. When the pressure mounted, especially in the third quarter, Kai did not shy away. On the contrary, he sought the moment. In a play that should be remembered as one of the season's best, he faked out 2 defenders and, despite being fouled, successfully completed the play and even converted the free throw. Plays like that don't just change the course of a game, they shape the perception coaches and executives have of a player. They show that, even under the spotlight and tension, he doesn't falter. But Kai's performance goes beyond standout plays. He is about to break statistical barriers that few reach. He is just 76 points away from joining the select group of players who have scored 1,000 points in the B-League. That alone would be noteworthy, but he has also surpassed the 500 rebound mark and is only 4 assists away from reaching 100 assists. This demonstrates just how multifaceted he is. He's not a player who limits himself to scoring or defending. He is a true facilitator on the court. His impact is visible not only in the box score, but in the fluidity with which his team plays when he's on the court. The way he connects his teammates, how his court vision allows for quick and efficient transitions, and how his presence intimidates opponents in the paint all show how much he elevates the collective level. Commentators and experts already see in him the type of athlete who could raise the competitive standard of the league. And comparisons to great players of the past don't come out of nowhere. They are a reflection of what he has been showing game after game. What is most interesting is that even with so much potential still to be explored, Kai Sotto is already becoming a sought-after player by fans outside of Asia. And among them, the Golden State Warriors stand out. With a history of recognizing talent before it peaks, the San Francisco franchise seems to be eyeing more than just Kai's statistics. The team's playing style, based on fast movements and fluid offensive transitions, would benefit greatly from the presence of a dominant center, something the roster currently lacks. Kai is exactly the type of piece that could fill this gap. His ability to protect the rim, grab crucial rebounds, and finish efficiently around the basket are qualities that fit perfectly into a system that already has speed and precision but lacks defensive solidity in the paint. At the same time, his growing confidence in mid-range shooting would make him an additional offensive weapon, something rare for a center of his size. But what makes this potential signing even more attractive to the Warriors is Kai's psychological profile. He is a player who doesn't let pressure get to him. On the contrary, he seems to rise to the occasion when he is most needed. This is visible in his court demeanor and the decisions he makes in key moments. This mindset is exactly what separates average players from those who make history. That's why the Warriors fan base has already started an informal campaign on social media calling for his acquisition. They see in Kai not only a necessary reinforcement, but a figure who could develop into one of the pillars of the team's new generation. And with the franchise looking to restructure without sacrificing competitiveness, bringing in an emerging talent with high potential and relatively low cost is a strategic move that makes perfect sense. Meanwhile, Kai continues his journey in Japan, aware that every point, every rebound, and every assist brings him closer to a greater goal. He knows that it's not enough just to play well. He needs to maintain a consistency that makes him stand out among hundreds of other global talents. And he has been doing that masterfully. More than just a good player, Kai is an athlete who inspires. His impact transcends the court. This influence is also felt outside of the games. He is a charismatic figure who connects with his fans, particularly with the Filipino youth, who see him as a symbol that it is possible to dream big. From the start of his career, he has carried the responsibility of representing not only himself, but an entire nation passionate about basketball. And he does this with humility, awareness, and impressive maturity for his age. This humanized vision also shows in how he plays. He is not an athlete seeking individual spotlight. He commits to the team, values the collective, shares the ball, and takes on less visible but equally essential roles. Players like that are the ones who make a difference in environments like the NBA, where talent is abundant, but the collaborative mindset is a rare differentiator. In the Warriors, this would be appreciated from day one. This is a franchise that built its success on the ability to play as a unit, where every piece understands its role and commits to the collective plan. Kai would fit perfectly into this machine. He wouldn't just be another talent. He would be an extension of the team's philosophy in the paint. The expectation around his arrival in the NBA grows with every game. With every new record he sets in the B-League, the image that his transition to the North American League is imminent becomes more solid. And when that moment comes, the team that bets on Kai won't just be acquiring a promising athlete. They'll be investing in a future leader, a player capable of influencing not just the score, but the culture of an entire team. His impact on the court, his collective mindset, his maturity as a professional, and his technical skill are elements that make him a rarity in today's basketball scene. If the Warriors are the first to recognize this, they could have not just the center they've been missing, but a new icon for the coming years of rebuilding and conquering. Kai Sotto is no longer just a promise of Asian basketball. He is an increasingly solid reality, walking with firm steps toward the NBA. And the possibility of seeing him wearing the Golden State Warriors jersey, with their passionate fan base, dynamic tactical system, and constant pursuit of excellence, seems more and more aligned with what the future holds. So, did you enjoy the content? If so, Leave a like to support, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell so you don't miss any updates. We post new videos regularly, bringing the latest news and everything happening behind the scenes. Thanks so much for following along. See you in the next video.